Hello, and welcome back to part 5 of our workflow engine tutorial. Now that we have built a full end-to-end workflow, the last thing we need to do is deploy it and monitor the progress. So let's go back to the workflow engine, but this time we're going to go straight to the Manage tab. Now this really couldn't be any easier. All I need to do to deploy my workflow is click on the Import button and select the workflow I want to deploy. Once I have deployed the workflow, it'll be enabled straight away. If I click on the workflow, you will see a few options. We can delete the workflow, disable it, or manually start an instance. Our particular workflow uses the watch folder as a start event, so we do not need to manually start an instance, but this could be used if we used a different start event in our design. Now that the workflow has been deployed, we can navigate to the Monitor tab. We do not have any running instances yet, so I'll trigger the workflow by adding the file to my watch folder. As soon as the workflow instance is triggered, we can see high-level information such as when it started and how long it's been running. We can also see the overall progress and the progress of each individual task. If I click on the workflow instance, I can see a visual representation of the progress. Completed tasks are highlighted in blue, running tasks are in green, and any failed task will be highlighted in red. A unique feature of the Dalet workflow engine is the ability to retry failed tasks. Quite often, failed tasks are due to external factors, such as a network outage, or failure to write to a storage location. If a task does fail, a retry button will appear up here next to the abort and suspend buttons. This allows you to investigate and fix the external problem and then retry the workflow from the last successful task, instead of starting again from the beginning. You may have noticed that the name of the workflow is listed along the top here, but not the name of the video file that triggered the workflow. We can change the name of the workflow instance by going back and editing our workflow in the designer. If I click on the canvas and go to the properties on the right, I can change the workflow instance naming convention. To include the file name that triggers the workflow, I just click on the workflow instance name convention value and append it to the watch folder output file name. I will then save the workflow, go back to the Manage tab, and deploy my update. Notice that as I deploy the workflow again, the version number increments. Remember to always redeploy after making changes in the designer. It doesn't update automatically. I'll trigger a new instance of the workflow by copying a new file to my watch folder. Now we can see both the file name and the workflow instance name in the Monitor window. The last section to look at in the Monitor tab is the workflow logs. If you have failed tasks, this section should give you a good idea of what's going wrong. For example, if a move task fails, the logs might tell you that a file already exists with the same file name. And there you have it. You should now be able to design, deploy, and monitor your own workflows. To find out more about our products and solutions, please visit www.dalet.com. If you find this video helpful or have suggestions for future tutorials, you can tweet us using @DaletAcademy or email us using academy@dalet.com.